Russia calls for resolving the crisis in Syria peacefully within the recognized rules of international law. Syrian armed forces restore security and stability to several areas and continue to target terrorist hideouts. And 6 Iraqi police officers are killed in a suicide attack against a police station to the north of Baghdad. From the Syrian Arab television in Damascus. Russian Foreign Ministry said that Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will continue discussing ways of resolving the crisis in Syria with his US counterpart John Kerry and UN envoy to Syria al-Ibrahimi on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly meeting in New York on the basis of what was agreed upon previously. The ministry issued a statement in which it called for settling the crisis in the Middle East within the framework of the recognized rules of international law, with respecting the state's sovereignty and the territorial safety without foreign interference, and through launching internal political dialogue, adding that this fully applies to the crisis in Syria. The ministry said that Lavrov will hold a number of bilateral meetings and participate in other several meetings such as the BRICS foreign ministers meetings, the International Quartet meeting for the Committee for the Middle East Affairs, and the 6 major powers meeting on Iran's nuclear program. The statement added that the Russian delegation will continue to work actively with respect to the subject of priority for the Russian Federation and the issues on the General Assembly's agenda, which tackled combating the spread of the arming race and enhancing transparency and confidence measures in this field, as well as guaranteeing the security of international media. Chairman of the Russian Duma's Foreign Affairs Committee, Alexei Poshkov, stressed that the wave of violence Iraq is witnessing is a direct result of the United States occupation, warning against a similar scenario in Syria. Russia Today website quoted Poshkov as posting on Twitter that US President Barack Obama was against the war on Iraq, adding that Obama should clearly tell if he wants the Iraqi chaos in Syria, but he still remains silent. Israel is the real winner from the use of chemical weapons in Syria. This is a very logical fact and is being confirmed by the media outlets all over the world, with evidence. The Independent is one of them. Robert Fisk, the Middle East correspondent of the Independent for more than 20 years now, wrote an article giving evidence from a journalist friend of his who accompanies the Syrian Arab Army in its operations in the suburbs of Maddamia in the western Damascus countryside.
The journalist said that he was with the Syrian Arab Army the night the chemical weapons were used, but saw no evidence of gas being used. What he does remember, however, is the concern of government troops when they saw the first images of gas victims on television, fearing that they themselves would have to fight amid the poisonous fumes. Frontline Syrian forces do carry gas masks, but none was seen wearing any, the journalist added. Fisk asked some questions that confirmed that the Syrian forces didn't use chemical weapons, such as, why use gas when so much more lethal weaponry is being flung at rebel forces across the country? If the government wanted to use gas, why not employ it in north of Aleppo? Why in Damascus? And why wasn't gas used on this scale in the previous 2 years? And why employ such a dreadful weapon when the end result is that Syria, by giving up its stocks of chemical weapons, has effectively lost one of its strategic defenses against an Israeli invasion? Finally, Fisk concludes that Israel is the real winner after all, and that it benefits not only from the chemical weapons use incident, but also from the bloody war in Syria.
Units of the Syrian Arab Armed Forces destroyed weapons and ammo of terrorists in Qobtan al-Jabal north of Al-Nusra camp and east of Deir Hathir, killing and wounding a huge number of them, in addition to destroying 4 vehicles along the road between Al-Baath and Deir Hathir, eliminating all the terrorists inside. Moreover, units of the armed forces destroyed 3 pads for launching missiles and mortars in Al-Jdeide, Queris and Ras al-Abboud villages, inflicting heavy losses among the terrorists operating them. In Aleppo eastern countryside, units of armed forces confronted terrorists who were attempting to attack Al-Adnaniya village and killed scores of them. While also in Aleppo southeastern countryside, armed forces destroyed gatherings of terrorists, and units of the armed forces clashed with terrorists who tried to infiltrate to the old city of Aleppo, killing scores of them in Az-Zahrawi marketplace and near the Justice Palace. In Iraq, 6 of the Iraqi special police officers were martyred in a terrorist attack carried out by 4 suicide attackers against the police station to the north of the Iraqi capital, Baghdad. An Iraqi security source clarified that 4 terrorists attacked the police station near Biji town to the north of the capital, Baghdad, and shot fire at the station guards. The exchange of shooting resulted in the killing of one of the attackers, as the other 3 blew themselves up after the arrival of the army's enhancements and reinforcements to the place to attack, which led to the martyring of 6 Iraqi police officers. The source added that 4 terrorists were wearing the Rapid Deployment Forces uniform, which made the attack easier on them. Going to Turkey, where a police compound in the Turkish capital Ankara was struck by 3 rockets. 2 buildings belonging to the National Police Directorate in the district of Dikman were hit, but no one was hurt, and the 3rd fell into the grounds. Dikman is one of the places across Turkey where anti-government protests have flared up in recent months. Meanwhile, Erdogan's forces arrested 11 demonstrators in Istanbul after dispersing a protest that took to the streets denouncing Erdogan's policy at the internal and external levels. Thousands of Bahrainis took to the streets to denounce oppressive measures and unprecedented security escalation exercised by Al-Khalifa regime and the Bahraini people against the Bahraini people, and to demand the release of political prisoners. The demonstrators denounced the decision taken by Al-Khalifa regime to close the Islamic Religious Council, asserting that such escalation will make the Bahrainis more determined in their demand for democracy, justice and equality. Moreover, masses took part in the sit-in in Al-Hurriya Square west of the capital Al-Manama that also witnessed mass night demos despite strict measures imposed by Al-Khalifa security authorities. With this, we come to the end of our news for today. More details on our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us after the break, the latest in the world of economy and finance in our economic news.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Director General of the Establishment of Sugar affirmed that the yeast material is available locally, as the establishment will import about 400 tons from Iran during the upcoming week. The director also added that the establishment has signed many contracts with the Iranian part, as the production amount reached about 7,500 tons. Deputy Minister of Economy and Foreign Trade asserted that more than 90% of goods are allowed to be imported, as the decree of controlling the import process came to provide the market with the basic needs of goods and medicine, in addition to agricultural and industrial equipments for production. He also said that many centralized instructions were issued by the Central Bank of Syria in order to take advantage of the credit facility line in regard to the public sector. The Director General of the Establishment of Cereal Production and Trade asserted that the wheat reserve is sufficient for the consumption of the country for more than a year to come, noting that the establishment has received from local farmers about 833,000 tons of wheat, as it also imported about 1.2 million tons of wheat and 106,000 tons of barley. The director also highlighted the major role of the concerned parties in helping to overcome the obstacles that are facing the marketing process due to the terrorist attacks. Gold prices gave back some gains yesterday after soaring this week in the wake of the Federal Reserve's unexpected decision to maintain its monetary stimulus. Gold futures for December delivery fell 2.7% to settle at $1,332 an ounce. The US dollar fell to its lowest level since February as markets were followed by Federal Reserve communications on keeping monthly bond purchases without interruption depending on the strength of the economy. The US currency fell against the majority of its 16 most traded peers for the third straight week. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our economic news for today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.